ser limpo, ser justo e pobre de espírito ser. Tua palavra me sonda, me conta do reino que espera por mim. Eu te ofereço meu pranto, as dores da alma que quer renascer. Eu ouvi tua voz, teu falar me encantou. Quis seguir, caminhar, quis saber pra onde vou. Eis-me aqui, minha dor, sereno. There is a feeling around me I can't describe. It is all new to me. Oh Lord, my heart is reviving. A feeling of hope is invading my soul. I want to be gentle, be pure, be fair, and a humble kind of man. Jesus, your loving words reach me, telling of the kingdom that waits for me. I offer you all my tears and pains of a soul that wants to be reborn. I have heard your voice, your words amaze me. Want to follow your steps, want to know where I'm going. Here I am, my soul is with me. Eu ouvi tua voz, teu falar me encantou. Quis seguir, caminhar, quis saber pra onde vou. Eis-me aqui, minha dor, sereno. Um sentimento me ronda, não sei dizer, tudo é novo pra mim. Meu coração se renova, sinto a esperança invadir o meu ser. Quero ser manso, ser limpo, ser justo e pobre de espírito ser. Tua palavra me sonda, me conta do reino que espera por
Senhoras e senhores,
Ladies and gentlemen, peace and light for everyone. I'm Jorge Reis. I'm producer and presenter of the show Vivência Espírita. Our interpreters are Denise Tipulo and Felipe Pazello. We appreciate immensely their participation with us. I would like to say thank you to everyone here on our first World Meeting of Jesus Friends with Chico Xavier and his legacy. Simultaneously, it's the 14th National Meeting. And the theme for this meeting is the gospel in Chico Xavier's works. Throughout this week, we'll have wonderful lectures for everyone so that we can remember our dearest Chico Xavier and Jesus Christ, of course. Let's update a bit. In some seconds, we will start with the first lecture, and our speaker is Jhon Harley, and also Vinha de Luz Choir, and the theme is Chico Xavier, faithful server of Jesus. Later on 4 o'clock Brasilia time, we'll have Rui Marta with the topic Kingdom of God. Tomorrow on Monday, Vanessa Anceloni will talk about body language, emotional language, and it is 6:30 Brasilia time. Tuesday, we'll have Rosario Jordão with good news from Humberto de Campos, also at 6:30 Brasilia time. On Wednesday, we will have Geraldo Ramos Neto, Geraldinho Lemos. He'll talk about Emmanuel Evangelical Essays, also at 6:30. On Thursday, the 7th, we'll have Fernando Perron with the topic Chico Xavier's works originality at 6:30 as well. On Friday, we will have Sonia Barsanti with the topic Gospel in Work and Life of Chico Xavier, also at 6:30. On Saturday, we'll get together at 2 Brasilia time. Noemi and Maria José will talk about Christianity and primal Christianity. We'll have 2 lectures on Saturdays. We'll have Marlene, Sergio's wife, with the topic Music Gospel about Chico Xavier. And on Sunday, we'll have Carlos Bacelli from Uberaba, Minas Gerais, Brazil, with the topic to talk about some topic, and we appreciate having you with us. I'm sure that our meeting will be blessed. We know this dear work of our dearest Chico Xavier. And to present our lecturer, today's lecturer is our brother Jhon Harley. He is a Chico Xavier biographer who is very well known in Brazil. He is part of Sheila Spiritist Group and Chico Xavier House, both in Pedro Leopoldo, a city in Minas Gerais. He is president director of the Chico Xavier Cultural Foundation. We wish a good lecture and let's vibrate good thoughts with Jhon Harley. It's with you, Jhon.
Olá, meus amigos.
Hi, everyone, my brothers and sisters. It's a pleasure to be here on our first World Meeting of Jesus Friends with Chico Xavier and his legacy. I was born in Pedro Leopoldo, birthplace of our Chico Xavier. We could live with him for 21 years. And so far, we've written 2 books about Chico. The first one is O Voo da Garça, that was released in 2010 in Chico Xavier 100th birthday. And the second one, Nas Trilhas da Garça, Chico Xavier em Minas Gerais, that was released in 2016. We talked about Chico Xavier and the state where he was born and has lived all his life. And we have our third and last book of this Heron, this Garça trilogy. I ask you them to put the cover of the book for you to see. This book will be released, if God permits us, in the second semester of 2022. Initially, talking about Christ's faithful servant, before talking about today's topic, I would like to say thank you to all of those that direct or indirectly took part so that this meeting could happen. Because of the pandemics and an online matter, but this way we could reach a broader audience. So I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I tell you also on behalf of everyone that put this meeting for all of us, the national and regional meetings as well in Brazil. I would like to highlight this show, Vivência Espírita, for the support, especially for Rodrigo Costa. We say thank you from the bottom of our heart for the dedication, for the support, for the hard work so that this event could happen. Not only to Brazil, but all over the world, in other countries that are in synchrony with the life and work of our dearest Chico Xavier. I would like also to tell you that the main purpose of our meeting, the world meeting and the national meetings as well, we do not want to deify or make our Chico Xavier as a myth. We would like to know that as Chico was so human as we are, he made extreme sense of his person that it's for us it looked like he wasn't human, but he smiled, he longed for things, he lived as each and every one of us. But there was one difference that I would like to highlight today. In his 92 years of life, from all of those, 75 years he dedicated to Jesus. Without any doubt, Chico was a faithful servant of Jesus Christ. And he showed his faithfulness on the things he used to think, on the way he talked to people, on the way he wrote and acted as a human being. He was a love and charity apostle. And our objective here in these meetings is to publicize his life and the works, more than 500 of them that were psychographed when he was here with us, so that we can consolidate the brotherly spiritism, a spiritism that we respect everyone's differences and work in this renovation that we need and we long for. In this initial prayer, I would like to invite a choir, the choral Vida and Luz, Life and Light of the Christian Spiritist Irradiation Choir. And I would like to talk about Valeria, that unfortunately disincarnated because of the COVID, alongside with her husband. And we had many meetings about Chico Xavier and the Christian Spiritist work. And one of them happened in Recife, in the northeast of Brazil. And in this prayer, I would like to have the best vibrations, the best feelings to our sister Valeria, her spouse, and all of her family, all of her dear family. So with you, the choir, Vida and Luz, Hail Mary, Ave Maria. Depois da música.
Maria.
Maravilha.
That was wonderful.
Receba Valéria onde estiver.
So Valeria,
Carinho.
may you receive our care, our best thoughts, whatever you are. And of course, this extends to the family and family members and friends of Bianca Almeida, the conductor of the Vida em Luz choir of the Christian Spiritist Radiation from Goiânia, Goiás, Brazil. Our conductor, Bianca, her mom disincarnated due to COVID-19. So we wish you good vibrations, and we are conveying those vibrations and prayers. So Francisco de Paula Cândido, that was his official name, Francisco Cândido Xavier, or also known as Chico Xavier, or somebody he would call himself Cisco Xavier. So Chico Xavier demonstrated his fidelity to Jesus throughout 92 years, throughout his entire life. And let me tell you something, I do not know how he was able to do that. Sometimes spiritists and people from other religions were really grateful for him, of course, and he lived in a simple way, and he also died in a simple way, a very simple life. And he did beyond what had been programmed, as André Luiz mentioned is in one of his pieces, psychographed by Chico himself. He was a good person for sure, a man of goodwill. He was complete. He did way beyond he had been programmed to. So let me paraphrase Carlos Antonio Bacelli, a biographer from Uberaba. Chico Xavier was not an angel playing the role of a man. Instead, he was a man of flesh and bones. He was a man of the world and in the world, playing the role of an angel. Have a look at the difference. So it's not an angel playing the role of a man, but instead, a man playing the role of an angel. That's the difference. So he was among us, and he had been among us for so many years. And of course, he was subjected to the laws of reincarnation, joys, problems, sad moments, as a normal person, just as us. So after 19 years of his disincarnation, his lesson was so meaningful that he is still alive in our hearts, among us, in our memories. He is a faithful servant of Christ. There are many stories about Chico Xavier. There are some sad stories, joyful stories, some curious stories, and other strange, unusual stories. And of course, here in our chat on October the 10th, October the 3rd, better saying, is to tell you some stories regarding Chico. So our intention is to highlight the human side of Chico Xavier. So we want to highlight the human aspect of him. People talk about the medium, people talk about the myth, but I would like to highlight his human side, the human side of Chico Xavier. So let me choose a character from a Brazilian writer. And he named one of his characters as the crazy boy from Pedro Leopoldo. Just an analogy, okay, with our lovely Chico Xavier. He devoted himself to the good, to the other people. And throughout the years, He became the Uncle Chico of Uberaba, or Chico Xavier from Brazil and from the world. So, Rodrigo, can you please show the two covers of our books? Because the two covers represent Chico in a lonely way. I cannot say that Chico was a sad soul, but in my understanding, Chico was a lonely soul, as all souls, big souls are in sciences, in philosophy, and also in religion. So he lived under the influence of his time, and sometimes he went way beyond that time. He lived the future, not the present. That's why those people were persecuted. They were not well understood. And he devoted himself to good things, to goodness. And today, on October 3rd, 9 years ago, he received here in Brazil the title of the greatest Brazilian of all times because of his money. Quite the opposite. Didn't have any money. He was a man of goodwill because he lived the gospel in its completeness. And now, let me tell you something interesting. There is a heron here on the first cover and another heron with its paws on the soil. Let me establish an analogy, okay? Let's reflect upon that. So, even though the heron had two beautiful wings, leaving his human side, Chico Xavier lived among us with his feet on the ground. The story of the heron is a normal story that was told in Pedro Leopoldo, his native town. It was registered by a poet called José Filho. He interviewed a religious woman, a very famous woman called Satomasi. And in that interview that was registered by José Issa Filho, the writer in the poem, she said that in the morning of the April 2nd of 1910, it was the most beautiful morning she had ever seen. A group of herons could be seen. It was so white, they were moving from side to side in the skies of Pedro Leopoldo, from side to side. And now I'm telling you this story because one of those herons was Chico Xavier, and that heron landed in Pedro Leopoldo. And now let's listen to the poet José Issa Filho. He says, talking about Chico Xavier and the heron, bringing love and compassion and transforming people's lives that have been really afflicted into sunny days and hopeful days. In 2012, here in Pedro Leopoldo, I welcomed the son of a lovely couple. They were friends of Chico Xavier's. Their parents, the Meireles family, lived with Chico Xavier for many, many years, and they have received books, letters from Chico. They visited Chico in Uberaba, in Minas Gerais, for many, many years. And at the end of the 1980s, to be more precise, in 1989, one of Chico's most important people that worked with Chico directly, Italo, disincarnated. And the couple, Elenir and Irineu, knew that person, but that person eventually passed away in 1989. Vilker Batista. Eleni was in her house. She lived in Niterói, in the state of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And she was in her house when, via her spiritual mediunic, she was able to identify Wilker, Mr. Batista, and she asked her. He said to. She asked that person, and the person said he was okay. He was adapting himself, and she asked another question. What about Chico Xavier? Because she would like to know if Chico Xavier, where Chico Xavier was, his dimension, and Wilker Batista, in that spiritual view, replied to her via her mediumship. She said, Elenir, Elenir, I'm really embarrassed of myself, ashamed of myself. Chico Xavier is much more than we could ever imagine. And the veil disappeared. And here I ask myself, I keep wondering, Mr. Wilker Batista, that had worked for more than 30 years with Chico Xavier, he got embarrassed as he disincarnated because he was able to understand Chico Xavier's real dimension. And I keep asking myself, who would Chico Xavier be? Who was that creature that was here among us? And he hid himself as much as he could because he was so humble. But of course, we could not place such light under a bed. So Chico Xavier was denounced in a certain way by his examples. And of course, people knew him by his examples. He became a faithful servant of Christ. People ask me sometimes, Jhon, in your opinion, you have lived with Chico Xavier for 21 years, and according to your research that I have been doing since 2008, let me ask you a question. What is the most important legacy in Chico Xavier's life? What was his most important legacy? And let me tell you something without a shadow of doubt. Chico Xavier followed the recommendation of Jesus's gospel. Love God above all things and love the neighbor as you love yourself. So Chico Xavier loved without distinctions, without making difference in creed, color, race, loving everyone with no discrimination. So maybe that could be the greatest legacy from Chico Xavier. He loved, and he loved his neighbor as the neighbor really is. So that is, let me tell you one of Chico's most important qualities as a faithful servant of Christ. Love your neighbor as the neighbor is. That means that you have to respect differences. When we talk about Chico Xavier, we are talking about ethics. We are talking about tolerance. We are talking about generosity. We are talking about kindness. He followed that maximum from the gospel of Jesus.
Only for you to have an idea, for those who didn't live with Chico Xavier, and I do not want to deify or make his figure as a myth. The ones that read Emmanuel's works, the novels psychographed by Chico Xavier, especially one of them, Paulo and Estevam, the feeling we have is if we were side by side with the ones that were in the primal Christianity. I would like to ask Rodrigo to play a song that portrays the life and the work of Chico Xavier. Love God above everything and loving thy neighbor as thyself.
Jhon, não estou te ouvindo, tá no mute.
Vou contar uma história aqui para vocês.
I'll tell you a story.
Quando nós visitávamos o Chico,
When we used to visit Chico,
ele atendia no grupo espírita da prece na cidade.
he worked in a spiritist group in Uberaba, in Minas Gerais, Brazil. And there was a big line. Everyone would like to talk to Chico. All of a sudden, a lady was suffering so much because she had lost her mother, her husband, and her children in one car crash. Everyone was silent in that prayer spiritist group, waiting for Chico. Chico didn't say anything. He stood up, walked towards that lady, held her, and cried with her in public.
Eu costumo dizer que sem dizer nada,
I used to say that without any words, he
sem
said
ser pelo
everything.
movimento de alguém que ele não conhecia,
He was touched by
abraçou
someone, a
e
stranger,
chorava junto
suffering.
comigo.
He held her and
Até
kept
hoje, amigo,
crying
eu fico
along
me
with her.
perguntando que
Up
amor
to
é esse que
this
ainda
day, I keep asking me,
numa das
what kind
lágrimas
of
das
love is
companheiras me
that
disse
that I
assim,
still
Jhon, esse
don't
é o amor
know?
que Jesus
One of
nos ensinou.
one person said,
Não
this is
vi
the
esse
love
movimento
that
há quase 100
Jesus
anos,
taught
posso dizer a
us.
vocês que até
And I
hoje
can tell you, I'm
eu
in
ainda
the
não sei dizer,
spiritist
não sei
movement for
explicar
41
esse
years, but I
amor que Jesus
cannot
nos ensinou.
feel
Mas
this
tenho
love
certeza,
that Jesus told
nas
us.
palavras do próprio Cristo,
Taught us, I
aquele
mean,
que
but I am sure using
perseverar
Jesus's words, the one that persevere until the end will win
perguntaram Chico, Chico, você se
themselves.
arrepende de alguma
And they
coisa?
asked Chico, do you
Ele não lembra,
regret
ele é
anything?
pequeno, não me lembro mais.
And someone asked
Parou,
him, I don't remember who.
os livros que
He
autografava
stopped
na madrugada,
with the pen
olhando-nos e respondendo.
on the books he was
Assim,
signing at dawn and answered
arrependo-me de
us.
não ter amado
Yes, I regret
somente
not loving
o
more,
que a gente deixa
because
de morrer.
love is only what we leave him behind
Só amor
when we die.
o que a gente
Only
deixa de
love
morrer.
that
É o
what
maior
we
legado
leave
deixado
behind in the world.
pelo nosso
This is the
Senhor.
greatest
Eu vou
legacy that he
parafrasear o
could leave for
evangelista
us.
Lucas,
I'll paraphrase Luke,
capítulo
the
10,
evangelist, chapter
versículos
10,
38 a
verses
42,
38 to 42,
quando ele respondeu Marta.
when he replied to
Eu
Martha.
vou parafrasear,
I'll paraphrase
porque eu
him,
acho que se nós indagássemos o Cristo,
because if we
ele
asked
responderia
Christ,
mais ou menos assim.
Jesus Christ, he would say
Andamos
about
ansiosos
this.
por muitas coisas,
We are restless with
porém
many
uma só é
things,
necessária.
but only one is
Chico
necessary.
Xavier escolheu
Chico Xavier chose the
e
best
essa não
part,
será tirada.
and this one will not be
Teresa
taken away
escolheu
from him.
a melhor
Mother
parte,
Teresa
a
chose
de
the best
Calcutá,
part,
e esta não
the
lhe
one
será
from
tirada.
Calcutta, and this will
Mahatma
not
Gandhi
be removed from
escolheu a
her.
melhor
Mahatma Gandhi chose
e
the
essa
best
não lhe
part,
será tirada.
and this will not be taken from
Rodrigo,
him.
coloca a foto
Rodrigo,
do
please,
Chico
could
só
you
para
put
vocês
the photo of Chico's
terem
bedroom
uma ideia, para quem não
so that you can
conheceu,
have an
não esteve aqui no
idea
Brasil.
if you weren't in
O
Brazil at
quarto
that
do Chico é
time?
esse que
This
vocês
is
estão
Chico's
aí vendo.
bedroom.
Quarto muito simples,
Very simple
que
bedroom.
retrata como foi a
And this
vida
portrays
e a
Chico's
obra de
life.
Chico Xavier.
This was Chico's
Me
and
parece
the
essas
work
fotos
of
enfatizam uma expressão
the life and work of Chico's, I mean.
utiliza
Very
com
simple.
frequência.
And I'm going to
Tem
use
sido
something he used to
parte
say
das minhas
a lot.
reflexões diárias.
And this has been
Chico
part of
Xavier
my
dizia:
daily
o homem mais
reflections. He used to
feliz
say, the
é
happiest
aquele
man
que tem menos necessidade.
is the one that needs
O
the
homem mais
less.
feliz
The
é
happiest
aquele
man
que tem menos
is the
necessidade.
ones that needs the least.
Significa dizer que nós sofremos
This means
pelo
that we
desnecessário.
suffer because of the
Carregamos um
unnecessary
peso
things. We carry a
desnecessário.
burden that we
E quando
shouldn't
alguém
carry.
tenta nos alertar
And
que
when
aquele
people
peso é
try to
desnecessário,
alert us that
nós ainda
that
ficamos
burden is not
chateados
necessary,
com quem
we
está
end up
nos
being
alertando.
hurt with that those
Somos
people
como
trying to alert
aqueles
us.
mendigos da alma,
We are like the soul
ficamos
beggars.
provocando a
We
ferida
try to
para
poke
provocar a
the
piedade.
wounds to provoke
Portanto,
others' pity.
é o
All
processo
the
da
time,
vitimização.
this is the victimization
Chico Xavier
process.
não se colocou nessa posição.
Chico Xavier wasn't on
Fez
that place.
o necessário.
He
Viveu com o
did
essencial.
whatever necessary. He lived
Ele
with the
deixou
essential
legado.
only. This is why he left this legacy
Viver o
for
Evangelho
us,
do Cristo
especially
em
this
sua
one, to
integralidade.
live Christ's gospels in
Em
its
sua
plenitude,
integralidade.
integrally.
Ele não fazia papel. Ele
He
era
didn't play a role.
o que é.
He was
Ele
what
era
he
e
was.
continuará sendo
He was, he is, and he will
Chico
be
Xavier,
Chico Xavier,
demonstrando aí no seu cotidiano, não
showing
não
on
estou
the daily lives who he was, and he is, and he will be. I say this not because I read the biographers told me. I lived this. I followed Chico around. He was a child,
Uma criança, mas general.
but a general.
Defender a doutrina, defender o evangelho.
In order to defend the doctrine, Christ's gospel, he used to say yes or no, showing this faithful. He captivated us all, and he transformed in the greatest Brazilian of all time.
3 de outubro,
October the 3rd,
aqui o nascimento do
we celebrate the birth
codificador.
of the codifier, Allan Kardec.
Sem dúvida nenhuma, Jesus,
Without any
nosso
doubt,
guia,
Jesus, our guide, our role model, Kardec
codificador.
is the codifier of the Spiritism. And I can say, I permit myself saying that Chico Xavier is the example, is a role model. If Kardec codified the doctrine in 15 years, I can tell you that Chico Xavier decoded it in 75 years of love, generosity, respect for the differences, for the diversity and inclusion as well. Faithful server of Christ. We deeply appreciate our gratitude for all the witnesses, all the examples. And one of the cases brought by our friend Teresinha de Castro, I'll simplify it because I would like to pay an homage to Chico in these last words. Teresinha de Castro has a story that I will tell in our third book that without we do not have any names. She told us one of Chico's visits in Uberaba. It was a rainy day, a sad rainy day. The mud in Uberaba was very thick. Chico left with many people to distribute bread. So Teresinha, one of her friends, Chico, Euripides, Susana Maia Mouzinho, one of Chico's greatest friends. When they were close to the place where they would distribute the bread, in the suburbs of Uberaba, Minas Gerais, in the outskirts, better saying, in the outskirts of Uberaba, she saw that multitude of people going down the hill. And she was scared. There were too many people there, and the bread weren't enough. When they got closer, Chico got out of the car. Chico was walking towards the people, and they started yelling, "Yay, Jesus! Yay, Jesus!" Teresinha was behind. And when they said, "Hey, Jesus," when she looked at Chico, he was enlightened. Only for some seconds, but he was enlightened. And she remembered the scene of Christ entering Jerusalem, taking bread. She was so emotional that she kneeled down by instinct. And Chico didn't see she doing that. And she said, "Thank you, God, for the opportunity of living the same time as this Christ messenger, of this missionary of love, joy, compassion." This is why we are so grateful, Chico, for so many years of you being dedicated to the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. Please, Rodrigo, our homage And all of the workers that were beside, next to this missionary with love and charity, because Chico by himself couldn't do the many things he did. Love one another as I loved you. We are so grateful, Chico, for so many examples left for us, for all of us. This song was an homage, maybe one of the greatest homage as a song made by Fábio Jr., a Brazilian singer, that was named Chico Xavier. And Chico, when we used to visit Chico in the last years of his physical existence, the workers of the spiritist place used to share this song by Fábio Jr. A beautiful homage, and Rodrigo will play it for us now.
Chico Xavier, Chico Xavier, Chico Xavier é sempre ajudar. Chico Xavier, Chico Xavier, quem tem ouvidos pra ouvir, escutar. Chico Xavier é meio estranho pra quem não acredita em seu próprio coração. Chico Xavier não tem tamanho, ele é luz iluminando a escuridão. Chico Xavier, Chico Xavier é sempre ajudar. Chico Xavier, Chico Xavier, quem tem ouvidos pra
Mas livrai-nos do mal, pois vosso seja o poder, a majestade e a glória para todo sempre. Assim seja.
escuta.
Jhon, você tá no mute aí, você tá mutado, só um minuto.
Quem tem ouvidos para ouvir,
Those who have ears to hear, please do listen. Have a wonderful meeting, the first world meeting of Jesus' friends with Chico Xavier and his legacy.
sua obra espírita cristã. Vivência espírita, beijo no coração.
Vivência Espírita. Thank you very much, Rodrigo, my friends, George. Here we go. Let's do our part. Chico did everything he could here among us. Lots of kisses in your hearts.
Amigos, maravilhosa
My
palestra.
friends, it was a wonderful presentation by Jhon Harley, our brother. And thank you very much And now we are going to end this session, and now we are going to open another session with our brother Rui Marta from Portugal.